They say you are what you eat. But let me tell you something. Your mind is starving long before your stomach ever is. And most people, they feed their bodies, but they let their minds run empty. That's why they feel lost, distracted, overwhelmed. Because the thoughts you put in your head decide the life you walk into. Every single day, before you scroll, before you speak, before you react, ask yourself, what am I feeding my mind? Because the first meal of your day isn't breakfast, it's your thoughts. Your mind is not some background system quietly operating while the real you goes about life. It is the control tower, the architect, the invisible force that maps every decision, every emotion, every risk you take. You can have all the ambition in the world, but if your mind is undernourished, it's like trying to race a car with no engine. The truth is, your life is nothing more than the reflection of your mental diet. The stories you tell yourself, the ideas you absorb, the patterns you repeat, they are all feeding your reality. If you're not intentional about what you let in, you're allowing the most valuable real estate you own to be occupied by squatters that don't belong there. And those squatters, they look like fear, self-doubt, insecurity, and other people's opinions. Think about this. Most people are more careful about the calories they put in their mouths than the information they put in their minds. They'll check sugar content, avoid bad fats, even pay extra for organic food, but they'll let their mind gorge on toxic conversations, petty drama, and endless scrolls of social media chaos. And then they wonder why they're anxious, why they lack focus, why they can't seem to break through. The reality is, you wouldn't feed your body spoiled food and expect to stay healthy. In the same way, you can't keep feeding your mind poisonous ideas and expect it to produce a powerful life. What you feed your body fuels your day, but what you feed your mind fuels your destiny. It's easy to think of your mind as separate from your body, but they are in constant conversation. Feed your mind garbage, and your body will feel it. Your energy will drop, your posture will slump, your face will carry tension. But feed it strength. Ideas that challenge you, books that stretch you, conversations that lift you, and your entire physical state changes. You move differently. You speak with more conviction. People notice something in you that they can't quite name, because it's not on the surface. It's coming from deep within. This is why feeding your mind with intention isn't just about learning new things. It's about transforming who you are from the inside out. And here's the catch. Your mind doesn't know the difference between truth and lies. It believes whatever you feed it consistently. If you tell yourself you're not good enough, it will collect evidence to prove you right. If you tell yourself opportunities are scarce, it will blind you to the ones that appear. But the opposite is also true. If you feed it the belief that you are resourceful, capable, and destined for more, it will work over time to make that your reality. This is not wishful thinking, it's neuroscience. Your thoughts shape your perceptions shape your actions, and your actions shape your outcomes. The dangerous part is that most people are not the ones feeding their own mind. Someone else is. Friends, family, media, culture, all pouring in their versions of truth, shaping what you believe is possible before you even get a say. This is why you must take back control. You must decide what goes in and what stays out. Just like you'd lock your doors to keep your home safe, you must lock your mental doors to keep your mind safe. And if that means turning off the news, walking away from negative people, or limiting your social media intake, do it. Because nothing you miss from the outside world will ever be more valuable than what you gain by protecting your inner world. Every empire was first built in the mind of its creator. Every breakthrough, every innovation, every world-changing idea began with a person who fed their mind with enough vision to see what didn't yet exist. They didn't wait for the world to feed them inspiration. They sought it, they hunted it, they devoured it. And that is exactly how you have to be. Because if your mind is the command center of your life, then every battle is won or lost there before it's ever fought in the real world. If you want to lead yourself to a life worth living, you don't start with your bank account, your network, or your resume. You start with the quality of your mental fuel. Feed it like everything depends on it, because it does. You are the direct result of what you repeatedly consume. Not just the food you eat, but the information, conversations, and ideas you let in. Your mind is a mirror. It reflects what it's given. If you flood it with inspiration, you will radiate inspiration. If you flood it with chaos, you will radiate chaos. This is why people who spend their days marinating in gossip, complaints, and fear end up living in that same energy. The mind is like fertile soil. Whatever seeds you plant, it will grow. And here's the dangerous truth. It doesn't care whether those seeds are empowering or destructive. It will grow weeds just as willingly as it grows fruit. Which means you can't afford to be careless with what you feed it. If your daily intake is made of reality TV drama, mindless social media scrolling, and constant news cycles about everything going wrong in the world, don't be surprised when your thoughts are cluttered, your emotions are heavy, and your motivation is non-existent. Your environment is feeding you even when you're not aware of it. And just like a steady diet of sugar will rot your teeth, a steady diet of negativity will rot your thinking. You may not notice the damage at first, because it's slow, it's subtle, it's gradual. But over time, your creativity dulls, your confidence fades, and your willingness to take risks disappears. What you repeatedly consume doesn't just entertain you, it conditions you. The opposite is equally powerful. When you choose to feed your mind with books that challenge your perspective, with podcasts that teach you something new, with conversations that make you think deeper, you are rewiring your brain for growth. You are building a mental library of tools, ideas, and strategies that you can draw from at any moment. And over time, this shapes who you are. You begin speaking differently, moving differently, making decisions from a higher place. People will notice the shift without even knowing why. They'll say you've changed. But the truth is, you've simply upgraded your mental diet. Repetition is the secret to this transformation. One inspirational quote won't change your life, just like one healthy meal won't change your body. It's the consistent feeding of your mind with quality input that compounds over time. Every day, every hour, you are programming your mind for the person you are becoming. And the scary thing is, most people are programming themselves for mediocrity without realizing it. They think they're just passing time when they binge a show or scroll for hours, but in reality, they're cementing habits, thought patterns, and belief systems that will follow them for years. That's why being selective is not optional. It's essential. You have to remember that your mind is not just a storage unit. It's a processor. It doesn't just hold information. It acts on it. If you keep feeding it fear, it will act fearful. If you keep feeding it doubt, it will act hesitant. But if you keep feeding it courage, it will act bold. You don't need to wait for the right time. to make a change in your life. You can start right now, simply by changing what you consume. Replace 1 hour of distraction with 1 hour of learning. Replace one conversation about problems with one conversation about solutions. Replace one habit that drains you with one habit that builds you. The shift will feel small at first, but over time, it will be the difference between standing still and moving forward. And here's the truth that most people miss. What you consume isn't just shaping your thoughts, it's shaping your identity. Your beliefs, your standards, your definition of what's possible, they are all formed by repeated exposure. If you surround yourself with examples of excellence, excellence will start to feel normal. If you surround yourself with examples of failure, failure will feel inevitable. This is why winners guard their inputs fiercely. They know that the world is constantly trying to feed them doubt, fear, and distraction. But they refuse to let those things take root. They choose, deliberately, to feed their minds with what strengthens them. Because they understand that the mind will always become what it consumes most. Your future isn't shaped by chance. It's shaped by the thoughts you allow to take root in your mind. Right now, your current reality is nothing more than the harvest of the mental seeds you planted years ago. The career you have, the relationships you're in, the confidence you carry, or the lack of it, all trace back to what you repeatedly allowed into your head. This is why some people seem to move through life with unstoppable momentum, while others feel like they're stuck in the same place year after year. It's not luck. It's not fate. It's the difference in what they've been feeding their mind over time. When you understand this, you stop treating thoughts like random visitors and start treating them like the architects of your future. Every great achievement you admire in someone else began as a thought, an idea planted in the mind, watered by belief, and nurtured through consistent action. People who seem lucky aren't stumbling onto opportunities out of nowhere. They've been feeding their minds with a steady diet of strategies, insights, and possibilities that made them ready to recognize and act on those opportunities when they appeared. They don't wait for the perfect timing. They create it. And they create it because their mind has been conditioned to look for solutions, not problems. That conditioning doesn't happen by accident. It happens because they choose every single day to feed their mind with what will take them further. When you fill your mental space with stories of people who've broken barriers, built empires, or transformed their lives against all odds, something inside you shifts. Your definition of what's possible expands. You stop seeing success as something reserved for other people and start recognizing it as something within your reach. The mind, once stretched by new ideas, never goes back to its original size. And that's the danger of feeding your mind with mediocrity. You shrink your own potential without even realizing it. You teach yourself to expect less, to dream smaller, to settle faster. That's not because life is limited. It's because your mental menu is. Your future is a reflection of the standards you set today. If you feed your mind low quality input, mindless entertainment, negative conversations, and self-limiting beliefs, you're programming it to accept a low-quality life. But if you feed it knowledge, vision, and tools to grow, you're programming it to build a life worth living. This doesn't mean you never relax or enjoy entertainment, but it does mean you're intentional about the balance. You understand that every thought, every word, every piece of content you consume is either building your future or breaking it down. There is no neutral input. It's either pushing you forward or pulling you back. The soil of your mind is always fertile. It doesn't decide what grows. You do. But here's the catch. It will grow whatever you plant, whether it's fear or faith, scarcity or abundance, limitation or possibility. That's why you must be the one in control of the planting. You can't leave it to the world, because the world will plant weeds. It will plant distraction, self-doubt, and the idea that this is just how life is. And if you let those seeds take root, they will grow into a reality you never wanted. But when you plant ideas of growth, when you feed your mind with possibility and reinforce it with action, you start to see your reality bend in your favor. This is not magic, it's cause and effect. Feed your mind with strength and your actions will grow stronger. Feed it with wisdom and your decisions will grow wiser. Feed it with courage and your risks will grow bolder. You are literally designing your future every time you choose what to consume. The problem is, most people don't see the connection. They treat their mental diet like an afterthought, not realizing it's the single most important investment they will ever make. Your future is not hiding from you. It's waiting for you to feed it the thoughts, the beliefs, and the vision it needs to come to life. Your mind is the most valuable asset you will ever own. And yet, most people treat it like it's free space for anyone to dump their opinions, fears, and negativity. You wouldn't give your house keys to a stranger. You wouldn't let someone scribble on your car with a permanent marker. But every time you allow toxic input into your head without resistance, you're doing exactly that to your mind. Protecting your mental space is not selfish. It's survival. Because everything you are, everything you will ever become, depends on the health and clarity of your mind. Once you understand this, you stop letting just anything or anyone have access to it. The problem is that the world is full of noise. Constant, relentless noise. News headlines designed to spark fear. Social media posts engineered to make you compare yourself to others. Conversations that go in circles without ever finding a solution. If you don't protect yourself, you become a sponge for all of it. You soak up things that don't serve you. And before you know it, you're thinking thoughts that aren't even yours. You're reacting to life through someone else's filter. This is how dreams shrink, how focus disappears, how ambition fades. Not because you lost it, but because you handed over your mental space to the wrong influences. Guarding your mind means becoming ruthless about what gets in. It's asking yourself, does this make me stronger or weaker? Before you watch, listen, or engage. It's choosing to limit time with people who drain your energy, no matter how familiar they are. It's unfollowing accounts that make you feel small. It's refusing to participate in conversations that revolve around blame, complaint, and victimhood. This is not about being cold or distant. It's about being intentional. You cannot afford to be casual about the things that shape your thoughts, because your thoughts are building your future right now, whether you realize it or not. Most people think mental protection is about avoiding negativity, but it's more than that. It's also about filtering the quantity of input. Even good information can overwhelm you if it's constant. Your mind needs space to process, to connect dots, to turn knowledge into action. If you're always consuming and never reflecting, you're like someone who keeps eating without ever digesting. Protecting your mind means giving it the time and the environment to strengthen itself. That's why solitude, journaling, meditation, or even quiet walks aren't luxuries. They're necessities for a mind that wants to operate at its peak. And here's the truth. You are the gatekeeper. No one else can guard your mind for you. If you let in too much noise, too much negativity, too much distraction, it's not the world's fault, it's yours. That might sound harsh, but it's also empowering, because it means you have full control over what happens next. You can shut the door on things that weaken you. You can open it only for things that build you. You can create a mental environment so strong, so focused, so intentional, that outside noise barely makes a dent. That level of discipline doesn't just protect your mind, it transforms your life. The people who achieve the most, who carry themselves with unshakable confidence, who seem immune to chaos, aren't living in a different world. They're living with different filters. They are deliberate about what they let in. They know that a single idea, a single comment, a single image can shape their focus for hours, maybe days, and they refuse to let just anything occupy that kind of space. That's why their minds are sharp, their energy is steady, and their decisions are clear. They've mastered the art of guarding the gate, and as a result, they move through life on their own terms, instead of being swept away by the noise of the world. The first thing you feed your mind each morning sets the tone for your entire day. Before you even step out the door, before you speak to another person, before you open your phone, your mind is already primed for either success or struggle. What you choose to put into it in those first moments is the blueprint your brain will follow for the next 24 hours. If you start the day with distractions, complaints, and chaos, you're programming yourself to react to the world instead of lead it. But if you begin with vision, clarity, and intention, you put yourself in command of the day before it even starts. Mornings are not just about getting ready physically. They are about getting ready mentally. That's why high achievers guard their mornings like treasure. They know that the mind is most receptive in those early hours, when it hasn't yet been pulled in 100 different directions. What you allow in during that window has a multiplied effect. A single empowering thought in the morning can shape your decisions, your energy, and your resilience for the rest of the day. Likewise, a single negative input can linger in the background, poisoning your focus without you even realizing it. The morning is your opportunity to feed your mind the fuel it needs to lead you, not mislead you. If your first action is to scroll through social media, you've already surrendered control. You're starting the day with comparison, with information overload, with the subtle suggestion that other people's lives and priorities matter more than your own. That's not a conscious choice, it's a habit. And like all habits, it's shaping your outcomes. But when you replace that with reading something uplifting, listening to something educational, or reflecting on your goals, you shift from a reactive state to a proactive one. You stop waiting to see what the day brings and start deciding what you'll bring to the day. Your morning routine doesn't have to be complicated. It just has to be intentional. It might be 10 minutes of journaling to clarify your thoughts. It might be a motivational speech that gets your mind locked in on possibility. It might be reviewing your goals so they stay front and center. The point is to choose something that feeds your mind with purpose before the world has a chance to feed it with noise. You're essentially setting the thermostat for your mental state. And once it's set, it's much harder for external events to throw you off balance. The most successful people understand that mornings are not the time to put out fires. They're the time to build the fire. They fuel themselves before they fuel anyone else. They know that their first thoughts carry momentum, and that momentum can either propel them forward or drag them back. Think about it. If you start your day stressed, rushed, and reactive, everything feels heavier. But if you start it with calm, focus, and clarity, even challenges feel manageable. This is not just mindset, it's mental preparation for performance. Every single morning, you have a choice to feed your mind with intention or to feed it by default. And default will almost always give you noise, distraction, and stress. You cannot expect to live a focused, purpose-driven life if the first thing you consume every day is mental junk food. The morning is the foundation on which the rest of your day stands. And if that foundation is cracked, the whole structure wobbles. But when the foundation is strong, when you fed your mind with the right fuel, you walk into the day with a level of energy, clarity, and resilience that the world cannot take from you. We live in an age where noise is constant, where distraction is sold to us like it's a necessity, and where mental clutter is the default. Everywhere you turn, someone is trying to feed your mind something. Most of it designed to keep you hooked, not to help you grow. But here's the truth. If you want clarity, if you want focus, if you want the kind of mind that cuts through chaos and leads you toward your goals, you have to starve the noise. That means being deliberate about what you let in and just as deliberate about what you keep out. You can't expect to have a sharp, high-performing mind if you're drowning it in meaningless content, endless opinions, and every passing trend. The human brain was not built to process thousands of pieces of information a day. It was built to focus on what matters. The more noise you let in, the harder it is to hear your own thoughts, your own instincts, your own truth. And when you can't hear yourself, you start making decisions based on what everyone else thinks, wants, or believes. That's how people wake up, one day feeling disconnected from their own life. Because they've been living according to noise, not according to purpose. The first step to breaking that pattern is cutting the input that doesn't serve you, no matter how normal it feels to keep consuming it. When you starve the noise, you make space for the truth. And the truth is what strengthens you, directs you, and grounds you. Truth doesn't always come in the form of a motivational speech or a perfectly worded quote. It can come in the silence when you're alone with your thoughts. It can come from a conversation that challenges you, from a book that forces you to think deeper, from moments of reflection that bring clarity. But those moments can't happen if your mind is constantly occupied. Just like a cluttered desk leaves no room to work, a cluttered mind leaves no room to think. Feeding the truth also means seeking it out actively. It's not enough to just avoid negativity. You have to deliberately replace it with information, ideas, and perspectives that elevate you. Read books that make you see the world differently. Listen to voices that have walked the path you want to walk. Study the principles that have stood the test of time. This is the kind of mental nutrition that builds a mind capable of seeing beyond temporary problems and into long-term possibilities. You can't afford to rely on random chance to feed you what you need. Truth must be hunted, not hoped for. The discipline to starve the noise and feed the truth is rare, and that's exactly why it's so powerful. Most people will never do it. They'll convince themselves they need to keep up with everything, when in reality, all that keeping up is holding them back. They'll tell themselves it's harmless entertainment, when in reality, it's eroding their focus and shaping their beliefs. But when you decide to take control, when you decide that your mental clarity is worth more than staying in the loop. You start operating at a level that feels different. Your decisions are sharper. Your emotions are steadier. Your energy is directed instead of scattered. You have to see your mind as a temple, a space too valuable to be polluted by anything that doesn't build you. And the more you protect it, the more powerful it becomes. Starving the noise doesn't make you miss out. It makes you stand out. Feeding the truth doesn't make you disconnected. It makes you unshakable. The world will always be loud, but you don't have to let that volume live inside your head. When you choose to control what goes in, you control what comes out. And when what comes out is clarity, strength, and conviction, there is nothing, no trend, no headline, no opinion that can pull you off your path. Every single day you are shaping your life, not in giant, dramatic moments, but in the quiet, invisible decisions about what you feed your mind. Your thoughts are not random. They are the architects of your destiny. And the quality of those thoughts depends entirely on what you allow in. Stop letting the world feed you fear when you could be feeding yourself courage. Stop letting the noise drown out your truth when you could be building a mind so strong, so focused, so intentional that nothing can break it. You cannot rise above the level of the thoughts you consume. You cannot build a future with a starving mind. Feed it discipline. Feed it wisdom. Feed it possibility. Starve it of the doubt, the distraction, the opinions that don't serve you. Protect it like your life depends on it, because it does. The future you dream about is not waiting for luck. It's waiting for you to think on a higher level. And that starts now. Not tomorrow. Not when things calm down. Not when you have more time. Right now. Because when you feed your mind first, your body follows, your actions follow, your results follow, and your life transforms in ways you once thought impossible. And that is when you realize every single thing you ever wanted was always waiting inside your mind.